What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Fantastic Frankey, here on behalf of Black Girls Anime with one of my favorite animation artists and owner of a huge company, Arthell Isom. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
You guys can't hear it, but there's thunderous applause going on in here right now, just silently so we could hear.
Yes.
You are the owner of, and I learned today how to say it correctly because I don't speak Japanese, D'Art Shtajio. And we worked on it earlier, y'all, and I really messed it up.
Yeah, you like mix them up.
I did it backwards, right? But I said your name perfectly, flawless.
Oh, good. Yeah.
5 points for that?
5 points.
There we go. All right. So we're just going to go through a couple of questions. Very excited to have you here.
I think I'm more excited. I was just telling her before we got here. Out of all the influencers, Frankie is like the one that I really follow. I like read everything she writes and everything she says. I'm just like really paying attention. So I'm super excited to be sitting next to you today.
Thank you. That's really, really sweet. And I really appreciate it because the impact, and I really want to get into that, the impact that you have on the community, especially with the rise of just Black nerds in anime and the way that we're able to express ourselves is unmatched. So to hear you say that is incredible. Tell us about your studio, the name, and where it came from.
So yeah, the name of our studio is D'Art Shtajio, and it's kind of play on words. At least Shtajio is the play on words. So I'm a background artist by trade, I guess, and in the background artist profession in Japan, Shtaji is the underpainting. Well, it means underpainting. And so, and in Japan, they always say stagio to pronounce studio.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be kind of interesting to put those two together. So stagi and studio, so stagio. So just kind of, and for us, it means the fundamentals are,
like back to the basics kind of music.
Yeah. So that's kind of our saying. So stagi ga daiji, right? The fundamentals are, the basics are important.
I love that. And you're fluent in Japanese, yeah?
I'm gonna say fluent. I
I've heard you speak. I was like, I can't. I know the words that everyone knows from animes, right? Which is like Nani and Baka and stuff. So I heard you speak it. I was like, that's really cool.
Try.
Awesome. So what were your thoughts on graduating school and going straight into animation school in Japan? Like, what was your thought process to get there?
So, I really liked the school that I went to in California, Academy of Arts, and but I felt that the only way that I can get into the anime industry was I had to learn what it was that I didn't learn yet, and I didn't even know what that was yet. But I figured, okay, how am I going to get in the animation industry? At least, how am I going to work for Ogura-san? And I felt I kind of talked to some of my peers from Japan. They told me, well, the best way that they felt that I can get into the industry was if I went to school there. So I was like, all right, that sounds like a good plan. So that was kind of what set me in that direction.
That's really cool. So what even told you that I want to be an animator and I want to be a Japanese animator? Like, what affirmed that for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question because when I was in school and even in high school, I actually never really planned to work in Japan. I always knew I wanted to be an animator, and then of course at that time it's like everybody, I wanted to work at Disney. I love Disney; they're a great company. But so I thought that would be my path. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to school, graduate. But when I saw Ghost in the Shell, that kind of made me want to work for, or at least study under the art director of Ghost in the Shell, who's Ogura-san, or Hiromasa Ogura, and so I think I was just kind of singularly focused on just that. I wasn't even thinking about the industry. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to Japan just so I can work for under Ogura-san. And then I thought I would go there, work, and then come back. And then work at Disney. But things change, and then I had always had this kind of plan to start our own company with my brother. So I was just still there, still in Japan, I guess.
I love it. So you were like, I'm just going to meet with him, learn what I can, and dip immediately. And then instead you stayed a couple decades, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
started your own studio.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so what is your dream project, and who would be part of that project?
That's a good question. Dream project. I think what we've been steadily moving towards is working on our own content, like an original story. And so I think that would be our dream project, is working on something that either I wrote or something that our studio worked on.
Really?
And I definitely, so Ogura-san, he's like my mentor, and we're always just talking about things. And that, like, definitely I've always told him, like, yeah, once I get one of our originals kind of picked up and we're working on it, I definitely would love you to be an art director for my project. So he's all down for it. He's like, all right, like, he's like, you gotta hurry up, man, I'm getting old. I was like, okay, try my best. Yeah.
Would you have it woman-led, like your mentor, like you go full on Ghost in the Shell, but like Black woman, or do you have any ideas what that would look like for you?
Oh man, like I'm actually, like, a lot of our stories, at least the stories that I write, actually are women-led, which is kind of, and it has nothing even to do with like the current trend or anything. I just thought women characters are cool, and so yeah, actually no, I can't say anything other than that. Okay, so I'll just say
I love that.
Women-led characters are dope. I
love it.
Yeah, women have an interesting power, and I think that the reason why I like female written stories, actually one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite anime is Mimio Sumaseba. That's my favorite animation from Ghibli. And it's also like female-led character. And the reason I like that story is the same reason I like female-led stories. It's because I felt that besides like the fantasy and all the other things that's happening in the story, like there was a personableness to that story that you don't get in other stories. And sometimes with like male-driven stories and things like that, of course, like, you know, it's all about power and, like, you know, conquering things and all that, and that's cool. But I also like stories that really focus on just humanity, and I think that with female-led stories, you can kind of do that, and and people accept it, and then you can still give her cool powers and things like that too. So.
I'm anxiously waiting to see your project drop, and I'd love to see it. I'll be the first one at the premiere.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that.
No, for real, you don't. Just get us a seat. All the Black girls team, anime team, please.
Okay, no, I'll send you tickets and you won't come to what?
I'm gonna say no. Oh no, y'all, don't listen to him, please. All right, so what anime as a child, and I think I kind of know the answer, but what is like the anime that got you into being an anime head?
Yeah, like that. So yeah, I did kind of say it already, but it's a Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I should choose a different answer. I should just say something else.
That's a classic. It's excellent.
Yeah,
used to say Bubblegum Crisis. Do you remember that?
I do remember Bubblegum Crisis. I liked it, but
it's like
Ghost
female world.
That's my go-to, and it really was. It was. I don't even know what it was, or I do know what it was about it, but unlike other anime heads and people who really love anime, I'm actually not so big on characters and things like that. What I really liked about Ghost in the Shell was the environment and like the way the animation looked. Like it was really beautiful, and I remember that really stuck with me. Like it just had like this. I had this like intense feeling that like I'd never seen like this type of art and animation before. And Ogura-san, he released this book, and it's called now I can't remember the name of the book. When I want to say it, it's like Yami. Hikari to Yami. So Hikari to Yami. So Hikari is light, and Yami is Yami doesn't actually mean shadow, but it's like darkness. And so he really focuses on light and shadow and his work, and that has always drawn me to art in general. So even before I was into like anime, like, and I knew I was coming to Japan, like one of my other favorite artists is Caravaggio, and he started the Tenebrous movement, which is also about, it's like chiaroscuro, which is also light and shadow, like the play of light and shadow together. So, sorry,
No, please. We want to know about your thought process. You're not rambling.
Yeah, so when I saw Ghost in the Shell, just the play of light and shadow together really drew me in. Then also just the architecture and I felt like, because in Ghost in the Shell there are like quiet scenes where there is no action, there aren't even characters, it's just the background.
Yeah.
Like, and then the camera's moving through the environment. And I think that was the first animation that I saw that had seen that actually even had that in it.
Yeah.
And even though it was like, I think I'm like dating myself here, but I watched that when I was in high school, and I was like, man, that's even at that time, like I could still, that still meant something. Like, and it drew me into the story even more than characters drew me into the story. And so, and then that kind of set me on my path to even want to become a background artist and kind of focus on environments.
You stole my question. I was going to ask you if that put you on the path. Because you also mentioned Ghibli, who does the same thing in a brighter way, right? When they show like...
Yeah, they just kind of show environments and, like just to kind of... I mean, I think Japanese directors and Japanese artists, they use it for a different reason. Like, so it's to kind of... to take the audience and give them another way to feel the way that the characters feel by showing calm or arashi. I forgot how to say arashi in English. Sometimes I forget my English. But, I'm just gonna say arashi because I have no idea how to say that in English.
We'll translate it on the
yeah. But like and to show so they do a really good job at that, like where they'll just have like darkness, or they'll have light, or they'll have this calm like grass field or something, and that gets you to understand how the characters are feeling at that moment. It also shows you where your headspace should be at that time too, while you're watching the animation. And,
Sweet, I love that. All right, you went through like 3 of my questions, but that's fine.
Pause y'all real quick.
Uh-huh.
Just double check something. I checked the light. The light keeps flickering. You're still good on your phone.
Good. That gives you some time too to read.
Oh, this is a master control. That's disgusting. Never mind.
Oh, the light just changed halfway through.
Yeah, it keeps flickering.
Damn.
Maybe you get lucky and it's in between the cuts. No, it's happened more than 3 times.
The photographer, the editors always could tell. Like, every time he's like, ugh.
I think we're still good on recording, so I'm gonna count you back in.
Yeah, you guys can write like a subtitle underneath. Arashi. Yeah.
yeah, I was like trying to figure out. I was like, lightning, like storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, like storm, like lightning storm, yeah.
All right, still recording? Oh yeah, that's something. Perfect. I'm gonna count you back in. 3, 2.
All right. So you were talking a little bit about your dream projects.
Right.
Do you have any projects upcoming that you like to share with us? Like, what's next for you?
Man, we have some really, really, really cool projects coming out, and pretty soon. Actually, some really, really cool projects. But I can't say anything more than that. That they're just really, really cool and something to look forward to. We're excited about it, and we've been working on both of them for a little bit of time now. So we get to work with our favorite studio on actually a lot of people's favorite IP. So yeah, it's cool.
If you can't talk about it, that means it's finna be hot, y'all. So please, that means to follow you. Make sure you're tracking your movements, because it sounds like you got something really big brewing. I'm excited.
It's cool.
Don't forget about us. Don't forget about us, please. What advice would you give to, I want to say, any Black person who wants to become an animator?
Yeah. Oh man. So this one might become like technical and boring, but like I feel like besides the advice that everyone gives, like, oh, follow your dreams, like everybody says that, but like,
They got that already, yeah.
I'm sure you guys got that. Follow your dreams, but what I do feel is, so animation is such a broad thing, and the best way to be successful at anything, even outside of animation, is to choose what it is that you really want to do. So be specific. And so if you want to be an animator, like if you want to work in the animation industry, first decide where in the animation or where in the industry you see yourself and what it is that you want to do. Like, do you want to be a background artist? Do you want to be a character designer? Do you want to be an animator? Do you want to be a prop designer or make music or story? Once you know what you want, the path to getting there becomes so much more easier, because then you can focus on the skills that you need, and you can also focus on the amount of work ethic that you have to to achieve what it is that you want to do. And what I mean by that is, say for example you want to work in Japan, then the rules change, right? If you want to work in the animation industry in America, then you can kind of focus on just your art in general, really, right? You can focus on your artwork and networking with people here. But if you want to work in a different country, France has an amazing animation industry. Of course, Japan has an amazing industry. China, there's lots of countries, but each of their processes are totally different, and they require the artists to know different things, and not only the drawing style, but culture-wise, and the language that you will need to know to work in that country. So just be specific and know what you want to do, so that it makes it so that you can be so that helps you to definitely get you in towards what you want to do.
That's incredible advice. I think my biggest critique ever when I'm watching animation or anything, I'm like, there's no research here. And I think that's important what you're saying. A lot of people don't know that someone who designs a character is not drawing the background, you know? And, you know, like you said, people who just like, I want to be an animator, and they don't know.
And you just kind of go out there, then, you know, sometimes I get shown portfolios, and the person's like, oh, I want to work at your company. And then they give me a portfolio, but through the portfolio, I have no idea what it is that they want to do. And then it's so random. And so I'll give them advice, okay, but first, like, which department do you want to work in? And so, yeah, like that way, because nice artwork is nice. Like, you know, like, yeah, cool, you're a really cool illustrator, like that's dope. But when you're applying for a job, they actually don't look at that. Like, they don't look at you're a cool illustrator. Like, we're looking for the spaces that we know we need, that those positions are open, and so we're looking for artists that fit into these different categories. And so when we're looking at your work, we want to make sure that you're the most proficient at one of those sections. And so, yeah, I think, be good at something.
Be good at something. I love
really
that.
Good at something.
What is the hardest lesson you ever had to learn? Like while building the studio and everything,
Oh man, that's a hard question.
It is?
Yeah.
If it's a hard lesson, you should, off the top of your head, you should be like, this time, man.
No, you know what? Because, like, man, I've learned so many hard lessons. That's the thing. Like, man, like, life is hard, right? Like, it's not easy. And so, like, man, you learn so many hard lessons. And it's interesting because that question is like a personal question, or a personal answer. So I feel like I should choose a different answer. But that popped up in my head when you said it. And then it's something that I'm constantly always learning. And so, yeah, I think it's important to tell everyone. I feel like when you see people that you say like they're successful or something, you have like this image of them being perfect, and that, oh yeah, they're lucky, or they've done this and they're really good at it. But it does really come from just like trial and error and us learning hard lessons. And one of the hard lessons that I constantly have to reevaluate and learn over and over again is how do I want to say it's like simply, but yeah, like so I'm kind of like a perfectionist, and and when I can't achieve that, sometimes like I kind of like it's difficult to then do what it is I'm supposed to do, I guess. And so because then you get so singularly focused on the error, and so this reminds me of when I was at this point I was working in the animation industry. I was teaching English actually, and because I was still going to school, and I remember that I was trying to work on my artwork, and I was like drawing like on my lunch break and things like that, and then I was so like just singularly focused on my artwork that then I I guess I couldn't finish my work in time, and then so I was just like, I need to finish this drawing, and I need to go do this, and then the manager, he was like really upset because I ended up being late for one of my classes, and he was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you know, you have this dream that you want to be an artist, but you have to also realize that you're like here now, and what you're doing now is important, like not the future or what you want to do. And then he told me, he was like, oh, if you can't focus on the now and, you know, and doing what's important at this moment so that you can achieve so that you can do what you want in the future, you'll never be able to get to the future. And I remember when he told me that, I was like really sad, and like because I felt like when he said that, like instantly only failure came in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting. I was like sitting on the train, and then I was just sitting in failure. Anyway, that's it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's actually a good time for her to come in. We're actually on the last question. Oh no, did I mess up?
Okay, no, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't for you to stop talking. I was just ready to tell you, don't stop talking.
Did we mess up? What happened?
I was just fine. No, you played it all.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Okay.
We're on our last question, and then we'll be good.
You're
Cool,
good.
cool, cool.
I was trying to give you the 5-minute warning, but I didn't see you for that warning. So
Okay.
my bad.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
wasn't sure.
Yeah, you're good.
You guys ready? Okay. All right. If your past self could see who you are now in all of your glory, what do you think his reaction would be?
Oh, like you need to work harder.
You think so?
Yeah.
No. That's the advice you just gave us a second ago. You said don't be so hard on yourself, live in the now. Oh man.
But I can never live in the now. I can only just I'm like, man, there's so much that I'm supposed to do that I'm probably not doing, that I should be doing. Yeah.
Well, I can say that you are doing a lot, and I don't want to use the word impressed because that implies that I didn't believe in you, but when I met you, you were already huge. But every time I see the work that you do, I'm just overwhelmed with joy to see someone Black doing the work that you do, speaking Japanese, and in shape, you got your suit on all the time. I look up to you, I'm like, Arthell is it. So it sounds like young Arthell is very serious and has resolve, which is great for an animator. But I want to say thank you for not just doing this interview with us, but for working so tirelessly to give all of us opportunities to see ourselves in a genre that we're not represented in. And for being amazing. So thank you. And tell everyone where they can find your work so that when your super hot work comes out, they know where to look.
All right. Well, first I want to say thank you for having me and wishing to interview me. I'm really appreciative of that. And everyone, you can find us on Instagram and website and Facebook. Just D'Art Shtajio. Yeah, if you just type in D'Art Shtajio, that'll kind of lead you in, and you can type that in anywhere. But please follow us.
Yes. And we'll have them tagged below. My name's Fantastic Frankey. You can find me everywhere under that moniker. Fantastic is spelled regular. Frankey is Frankey. And be sure to follow Black Girls Animes for all of your anime news, incredible interviews like this one, and just like hot girl shit, man. We're live, yo, and thank you. Yeah, I love it. Thank you. All
Cool.
right.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yay, thank
I'm
you.
really good at that. I gotta get better.
Which one, the hot girls or?
No, like,
Really good.
Oh, thank you.